And now, back to Needle Man stage. I have to say, I really dig the new background. It was daytime before, now it's nighttime. This is a totally unnecessary change, but I really like it. And I'm finding more and more that I really appreciate the little touches in this game. It just helps to make everything better. And they're especially necessary, such as the graphical facelift up there, to keep things fresh when you're going through the same enemies and level obstacles as before, even if they're in a different arrangement. Now, I do like what they did with Needle Man stage. I mean, that gauntlet on the previous screen of the Pokey Doom needles is good. It requires some good timing. And there's a rush jet section that takes up almost, well, about a quarter of this stage that's really well done. So I am very fond of what they did with Needle Man stage especially. I think they really made the most of all of the obstacles and enemies that they had on hand. And they did a good job with the other stages, but Needle Man stage was, the revisited version, was the most different, in my opinion, out of any of them. So I like what they did with it. And I also like that they brought back the 8 Robot Masters from Mega Man 2. After this game, there are very few cameos by bosses from previous games. It's, there's a couple, but none as grand as the triumphant return of Airman and all of the others, and the triumphant explosion of Airman. I did promise you that I would be complaining about the menu screen in this game. Well, I'm really trying to minimize my complaining now, so just take it on my word that I was being a bit clumsy there with the menu, and that the menu screen's a bit clunky compared to all of the other Mega Man games. And that's all I'll say about it. Here is a fantastic use of Rush Jet. This whole section here is very tricky. You've got enemies coming out from all over the place, and you need to keep refueling Rush, because when you stand on them... Ah! Oh, okay. It's okay. We're all safe here. I'm just pushing the envelope here and seeing just how far down on the screen you can go before you technically fall in the bottomless pit. It's fun. Anyways, as you stand on Rush, your weapon energy slowly depletes. Once the dog is out of fuel, pew, you fall into the pit and die. So you need to, in theory, keep picking up all of these weapon capsules all over the place while dodging the enemies. However, if you keep jumping, like I'm doing, when you're in the air, you don't actually use up any fuel, so this makes it much easier to get through that section. I don't call it exploiting a glitch, that's just the way they programmed it. However, if you are the cheating kind, there are plenty of glitches to exploit in this game, and there are even built-in cheats that you can use if you have a second controller plugged in. We interrupt this broadcast to bring you a ginormous hard hat. This is really cool. If you remember from the first time through Needle Man stage, you may recall that you could see a glimpse of the top of that giant hard hat's hat in the ground, sort of locked away in a storage container. So if you don't remember that, go back and see for yourself. Anyways, there are cheats that you can use if you have a second controller plugged into your NES, or if you're using an emulator if you have it configured to set up that way. You can find all sorts of information about this online, but the short version is that you can do all sorts of fun things, such as being able to jump all the way to the top of the screen if you hold down the right buttons on the second controller, slow down and even freeze enemies entirely, and fall down a pit and not die. This is Hard Knuckle, and as you can see, I have a little bit of directional control over Hard Knuckle. You fire it, it's pretty slow, but you can move it up or down. This is the weapon... there's a few weapons you can use against Crash Man, but Hard Knuckle is really the one that does the most damage, at least as far as I've seen. The only problem is I'm using the exact same strategy that I used, or at least I was trying to, when I fought Crash Man in Mega Man 2, but it didn't work so well here, because Hard Knuckle is so much slower, and sliding messes with your aim. So, not a perfect run-through, but I'm still pretty pleased with the results. Now, for the battle of the century, Mega Man versus improper punctuation. Actually, punctuation is a theme that does recur throughout the Mega Man series, believe it or not. For example, in Mega Man X, they introduced the dash. Oh, awful, awful Mega Man pun. The dash. Oh. I kill me. Any-hyphen, Magnet Missile really gets a chance to shine here. This is just so much fun, because all of a sudden I've turned into this indestructible tank of magnet death. So fun. The only thing that you need to be cautious about is how much weapon energy you're using, because Magnet Missile uses up a little bit more energy than maybe it looks like it should, so it's all too easy to just fire randomly and find yourself having run out of ammo before you're even halfway through that section. So just fire judiciously. And you can always refill here by shooting these eggs and destroying the tadpoles. These tadpoles are a great source of power-ups and protein, and they're creative, and they're kind of fun. I don't know. The only thing is just don't sit here all day shooting every single one of these eggs. You'll be there forever. And you may have noticed the mystery tank that was up there in the corner. Don't bother going after it. I mean, really, any of the power-ups that you could have gotten from it, you can get from just shooting the tadpoles. The only exception to this is an E-tank, but the chances of you getting an E-tank from that mystery tank are incredibly small. So really, it's better to just avoid it altogether, don't waste your time, and keep shooting up tadpoles. I'm going to continue using Needle Cannon against the next boss, who is Flash Man, the Clock Stopper himself. And Needle Cannon is effective because a stitch in time saves 9, but a needle in time works just fine. Clever, right? Flash Man is just as easy to hit as he was in Mega Man 2. I'm having a little bit more trouble dodging him, but it's par for the course. But he's dead. Whee! And I can slide backwards through the door without even moving. So much fun. Boing. Okay, you see that section right there where I bounced out of the pit? Something of a minor but very important oversight on the part of the game developers. In the rare occurrence that you don't have any rush coil energy or rush jet energy, it is physically impossible to get out of that pit. You just can't jump high enough, and you don't have anything else that you can use to escape, except, well, maybe the cheat code where you hold down on the second controller and you jump super high, like I was telling you about before, but you shouldn't have to use a cheat code to get out of there. Your only option? Sorry, buddy. Gotta reset. No other choice. So, a small oversight, but a kind of important one. Now, moving on to the next section, we have more, power-up friendly enemies. These, crystal, glowy, crawly gem bugs. I love these guys. They're cute. And you can, stock up on power-ups by fighting them. Very nice, because they keep respawning. I like the entire second half of Gemini Man stage, because, like Needle Man stage, it totally revamps everything that was there before and uses all new concepts. Maybe not all new concepts, but certainly does enough. Makes things nice. Now I'm going in to fight Bubble Man, who is the last one left, and I'm not going to make this very elegant. It's just too much fun to unload on Bubble Man. Just fire without any fear of consequence or repercussions, so just gonna rail on him. Anyways, the one thing that I find curious is that we've now gone through 4 redone stages, revisited stages, and there hasn't been a single explanation of why they're there. I would have been perfectly fine with just a little quick cutscene saying, you know, from Dr. Light or Dr. Wily, Mega Man, we've been receiving this weird transmission from all the planets that you've been to, so you should go back and check out what that's all about. I mean, that would have been fine. And now we're mysteriously fighting Mysterious Breakman once again, and there's no reason for this, so just a little bit of explanation, that's all I ask. Oh, here we go. Finally, a cutscene. Oh no, right after we received the last element, ... Wyle ran off with Gamma! Ruh-roh.